Surprised me the most? I knew a little bit, like you said, a little bit of knowledge beforehand, but over 15 years, it's completely counterintuitive to what every bit of police training has been in my experience up to this point.
Is that a good thing?
So, excellent thing.
Good. Why is that?
As a trainer in other areas, I completely agree that our training methods are the cause of a lot of issues that we have now, and it's hard to change. But no, this type of training is by far what's needed the most.
What one thing would you say about the class that if you had to pick one thing, would you think you enjoyed the most, or you think you were most likely to implement, and why?
Enjoyed the most? I love the wrestling. That it's got that wrestling feel to it, because to me, going through all of these joint manipulation, wrist locks, if you've been a cop long enough, you know you've had those things fail on you, and what it turns into is an old school wrestling match many times. And I loved the wrestling aspect of it, because in my opinion, the wrestler's the most dangerous guy on the street. Because he hits one takedown on you, and it's ground and pound, and it could be lights out. So I loved the wrestling feel to it.
Is there? Do you think you'd be able to take this back and actually teach it to your people, and if so, why?
Yeah, I think it's the simplicity of it. For one, you've got just a handful of techniques that flawlessly mend together, and there's so many options. So it can be complex as you want it to be, but I think in just a few hours' time, the simple things that are still familiar to people, like the arm drag, the escort position, but better versions of them, that, like I said, have that wrestling type of component to them. I think they're easily implemented in just a few sessions, and people can really get into that flow, and would be able to see and have a plan going in, for one, but to be able to move as the fight moves, to move into different positions of advantage.
To them, and if so, why would be the reason?
Absolutely. Like I said, I think it's from the lecture point, and there's so much hands-on, but even in your lectures, to where you explain kind of the evolution of why we did the things that we did when we were in the academy, where that came from, and why it hasn't worked, and why we need to move into what you're kind of promoting. I think is vital to understand that evolution of training, and why we're doing what we're doing. So that portion is excellent. And then you get out on the mats and you actually get to see from baby steps, simple technique, and then the threads come together, and then you move into the flowing later on in class. To me, it should be implemented across the board. Really should.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
One last thing. Anything else you want to add on your own about the course? Like, enjoy yourself. Did you have a good time? Or anything else you want to say about it?
No, I loved it. I don't know too much of what I would say to add to it. I loved the fact that you added in the not only edged weapons defense, but meshing together as a firearms instructor, like you mentioned. I think subject control and firearms instructors should be married together, and those things should not be separated, and they typically are. But I love the weapon retention, and that could easily be taken into a training scenario with firearms. Just the simple techniques that you have with the weapon retentions. But yeah, no, it's great.